everybody, this is Francesco Abbruzzino with another live and unedited rogue rant. What am I ranting about today? Inflation. Is it tamed? I'm not buying it, and neither should you. You see, economists regularly issue reports calling inflation tame or mild, or some other word that suggests consumers shouldn't feel much pain. They say such silly things as, inflation has been tamed, and this is providing households with some relief. I don't know about you, but I'm not feeling the relief. Are you? Try going out and buying gasoline or groceries. You may not be feeling the relief at all. I can tell you I am not. The gap between what economists say and what you feel at the register seems so wide today. And that's because the Bureau of Labor Statistics measures inflation by studying the retail price of thousands of goods, compiling the data into the CPI, Consumer Price Index, which for the past year, the CPI has been up 2.1%. So, if you were just looking at this number, the CPI number, then you would conclude that maybe inflation is low and consumers should be feeling pretty good at the checkout. This is what Obama wants you to believe, folks. But the index covers a very broad array of goods, including global produce items such as televisions, phones, and personal computers, which have seen big price declines in recent years. So how often do you buy those big ticket goods? Probably not as often as you put gas in your car or your pickup. Not as often as you buy meat or fruit at the grocery store now, do you? Another issue revolves around the price increases, which are many times greater than the average 2% wage hikes that many workers have gotten in the past year. Many have not gotten it too. That's a whole different story. In May, the index of retail prices for meats, poultry, fish, and eggs were up 7.7% from a year ago. Some specific food prices really shot up. Eggs, oranges, and beef all saw price jumps by the double-digit percentages. Some price jumps, like pork, are involved to viruses that the pig population is going through now. The price of an average gallon of gas is $3.68 compared to $3.50 a year ago, an increase of 5.1%, and it seems to be on the upward trend. The reason for these food and fuel prices increases are both domestic and global. I get that. I get the global end of it with Iraq and Syria, what's happening over there. I get it. We all do. Ukraine's a major supplier of natural gas. But on the home front, the weather has been the key problem for grocery prices. Cattlemen in the Southwest and the Western states have suffered heavily on livestock. And grazing losses after 3 years of extreme drought conditions have worsened the situation. The USDA says that the U.S. cattle herd has slumped to the lowest points since '51. The continuing drought has moved the cattle prices to record levels that could result in declining profit margins for the cattle feeders. Consumers face record or near record retail beef prices at the meat counter. You probably see it every time you go out to get some steak. And that is not likely to change anytime soon, folks. The USDA downgraded its projections for beef production in 2014 by 155 million pounds. Experts generally say even if the drought were to end today, it would take ranchers at least 2 years to rebuild their cattle herds to more than normal levels. 2 years, folks. And then there's the deadly pig virus, which I recently mentioned, that has been adding to the meat counter troubles. PED virus has killed more than 7 million piglets in the past year. That's why your bacon's up, folks. This virus has driven up pork prices by nearly 13% in grocery stores. Meanwhile, the global events have been having an impact on gasoline prices. Political turmoil and violence in the Middle East pushed up oil prices this past spring and in the Ukraine. In recent days, crude oil has been hovering around 108 a barrel, up from about 100 a year ago, folks. Lately, the price of gasoline has eased some by a few pennies a gallon in most places, but remain elevated compared to last year. This summer's higher food and fuel prices are being watched by retailers, hoping for stronger sales as students prepare for the new school year. Merchants fear that the customers will be feeling tight-fisted when they come in to buy shoes and notebooks, and rightfully so. That is because consumer confidence is likely to sour as food and pump prices increase and starts to enter the American consumer psyche. This could mean bad news for retailers that were hoping for a strong back-to-school retail season. New sales assessment from many retailers suggests that the higher prices for food and fuel have already been having a major, significant impact on the lower-income folks. For example, Dollar General stores said same-store sales were down 1.8% this spring. So what do you think? Is there inflation? Or do we continue to believe Obama and his yelling puppet in the Fed when they try to tell us that there is no inflation? They need to stop focusing on the metrics, the CPI, and see what's happening out there with us, the real folk, the common folk, the suffering folk. This has been Frank Abbruzzino with another Rogue Rant.